Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I will play Die Inseln im Nebel. I think this kind of translate into the island in the mist or the islands in the fog. I really don't know. I believe there is no official English title yet. But anyway, I will give it a playthrough. So bear with me. It's completely German, but again, I will translate as much as I can. And I believe the game itself is more or less language independent. Anyway, huge shout out today is for Jordan, who's one of my patrons on Patreon too. So again, thanks so much for your support. And yeah, I think let's get started.
Okay, and here we are. This is pretty much the setup for a 2-player game. It's really not that different in a 3 or 4-player game. You simply have some more clouds out there and of course some more player boards. After a lot of consideration, I decided to go all in, though this game comes with 2 expansion models, one being the harbor and the next one being the development or so. Hard to demonstrate. I really don't know how they will do that in the final, hopefully to come English version of the game. But yeah, again, this is all in. I'm playing on the basic side on this, so there is a, let's say, a slightly different side on each of those tableaus here. And with module 3, I believe we also have to flip this storage area up there also to the other side. So normally in the standard game, I believe you have 5 of those storing or storage spaces available to you. In this case, you have to really unlock additional storage units in case you need those. During the game, players try to explore their islands, which are currently covered in mist. Who thought about this? And the game ends when one of the players has made a connection basically from the shipyard here in the middle, that balloon shipyard here. That's a really nice balloon, to one of the, to all of those outer regions here, to the desert, to the forest, to the mountains, you name it. So if they're really all connected through landscape tiles, there are also different tiles. So this one here, for example, is not a landscape tiles. But again, if we have made a connection to the central piece, then this will trigger the end of the game, and then there will be one final round. And the player who made this connection first gets the most amount of victory points out of that. And overall, you really score in the end all the landscapes that you have connected to your tile. There are, again, various other things, so like these special tiles here, the development tiles, so they come with simply 8 points here, for example, and some others. But again, majority of points will be scored by the landscapes and how you build your landscapes on your island. But I believe I will explain everything else as I go. And the first thing that you usually do is to distribute new landscape tiles onto the clouds. We already have done that as part of setup. We also have determined a starting player. In this case, I decided that blue will go first. And then you basically, the player right to the starting player will roll those 2 dice here. And this player also can make a choice if he wants to keep those dice or if he wants to re-roll those. So let's do that. So red is now rolling those dice and again can make a decision. First of all, there's a special bonus die. So this gives all of the players 1 extra energy. So he can now decide if he wants to stick to the energy or wants to re-roll that. And he has the same choice for the wind direction here. Right now the wind would blow towards the northeast. So in theory, all of the players would place their little marker here accordingly on their compass. Of course, if red doesn't like the idea of going to the northeast, he could now decide to re-roll that die here. And I think this is what red will do. I think red is happy with this. Getting 1 energy is never a bad thing, but he can make this choice. He doesn't have to roll that all at once. So he can also say, let's roll this one first, and if I don't like it, I can still re-roll that one too. So let's do that, but now he really has to live with the result. And this is now southeast, Südosten in Germany here. And I think this is actually pretty good for the red player. So I think he will stick to the bonus dice. So all of the players now get 1 extra energy, which is marked on the energy track here. So now blue player also has made it over this threshold here. So if this would be the end result, he would also gain 4 victory points at the end of the game. But this is really highly flexible. This will move up and down throughout the game like crazy, actually. And on top of this, all of the players have to adhere to the wind direction, which is now southeast. And of course, we do the same for the green player. As we're all steering a balloon, a normal balloon, we have to adhere to the wind direction. So in theory, blue would now have to move to the southeast region. The speed is determined by the numbers on the tile that the players are currently on. All of the spaces around your shipyard have a 0. So that's really something. So in theory, he wouldn't move now. If he does want to move, he could now spend energy in order to move. And for each space you're moving into the wind direction, so if blue would now move towards the southeast region, for each space he could now spend 1 energy in order to get there. On the other hand, you could also decide, no, I don't want to do that. I want to basically move into another direction. And in order to do that, you have to first brake, and you have to always spend the amount of energy in order to brake. Right now it's 0, so we don't have to brake. But for each space that we're moving into another direction, we have to spend 2 energy. So for example, if blue deliberately wants to move into this direction, he would then have to spend 2 energy in order to do that. And given the fact that he started with this Greenland here, I think that's a perfectly feasible idea to do that actually. And yeah, I think let's do that. So blue will spend 2 energy in order to move now to the northwest instead. 1 space, I think that's perfectly okay. So now blue has moved. The next thing that blue will do is to take all tiles from 1 cloud. Right now, as part of setup, there are only 1 tile on each of the clouds. So that's pretty much when you follow the, I would say, core game. But as part of module 3, the development, or how you put it, you can also decide to take 1 of those special tiles here. And there's also some special requirements in order to do that. That's printed here on those energy tracks. So in order to get this tile, we have to move the energy marker beyond it. So right now we are only allowed to take this special tile. If we want to have the harbor, blue first would need to move his energy marker beyond the 7 here, and then he would be allowed to take either this tile here, the harbor, or that tile. That's pretty much his choosing. And I think right now getting the harbor is definitely a good thing, because that's the only building that allows you to travel to the harbor. Normally when you reach the edge of the island you have to stop, but basically with this second module here, the harbor, you can now move past those boundaries and then you would move to the harbor. But first of all, you need to build the harbor first, and then you can exchange some of your tiles basically like it's printed here. So here, for example, you can spend 1 tile to get 2 tiles in return, but I think I will come to that later on. I think blue decides to go with 1 of those wildcard tiles here. So he will decide to go with this cloud. So he will take all of the tiles and he has to place them onto 1 of his storage areas. Again, he has a choice now, because instead of placing it into a storage tile, he could now basically put this tile back to the back in order to gain the energy that's printed here. So when he would decide to say, I don't need this wildcard here, I will toss it back to the back, I will get 6 energy for that. And again, energy is really important, getting those special buildings, but there are also victory points at the end of the game. So overall, that's definitely some interesting decisions. But in this case, I think having this wildcard here is definitely not a bad thing. And the last thing that blue has to do in his turn is to place terrain tiles. And in theory, you can place as many tiles as you want. Of course, there are some restrictions to that. You can only place tiles or basically to spaces adjacent to you. You cannot place it underneath you. So you are exploring, so you're looking ahead, not beneath your balloon. You cannot place on already existing tiles, and I think this center shipyard here is also off limit, so you cannot place something on top of that too. But apart from that, you can basically do whatever you want. And I think one of the first things that blue wants to cover up is this volcano, because if it stays like it is uncovered, it will cost him 6 victory points at the end of the game. That's really massive. And because we are now close to this meadow, and he started this game with a meadow, this was the idea after all, spending the energy, he wants to place it accordingly. So this is now covered up, awesome, and he starts forming a line towards his shipyard here, and this will then ultimately give him some victory points. In theory, that's 2 points per meadow that's pretty much connected to the according region up here. So if you would place a meadow up here and doesn't have any connection to this coastal area of the meadow, those tiles wouldn't score him any points. But yeah, this is in theory already 2 victory points, and he could now continue actually placing tiles. Keep in mind he still has this wildcard here, which he can place next to everything, and I think let's do it like this. The only problem with those wildcards, they only score you 1 point. But again, they can satisfy all the coastal areas around here, all the requirements of placing. So that's 2 points, that's 1 point, 3 points in total. Definitely not a bad start. And that's already the end of the blue player's turn. Next it's red. Again, the wind is the same as for all of the players. The problem is he's also on a 0 tile, so he doesn't have any speed. So in order to move down towards the southeastern part, he definitely also has to spend 1 energy. But because he's traveling with the wind, he only needs to spend 1 energy for each space he's moving in that direction, and I think that's perfectly fine for him or her. Apologies for that. So we will move towards southeastern region, and by the way, you can never change the direction. Once you have made a decision and that you're saying, hey, I'm moving southeast, you cannot later on decide, and now for additional energy I will go in here, though that's definitely not allowed. Okay, that was the movement. Now he also has to make a choice, or she, apologies for that again, if she wants to go for one of those clouds. So this is already gone, but there's another wild card up here, or if she wants to go for one of those special ability tiles here. And I think right now having those wild cards is definitely never a bad thing. Yeah, let's do that. So she will also go for this cloud here. So she will grab this wild card, which she will place here, and just assume that this is my wife Unita. And again, she can make a decision if she wants to spend that tile to get 6 energy, but I think for now that's fine. And next we want to place our tiles, and I think right now there's a really tasty one up here. So she will place the mountain here. Because she covered up this one here, she immediately will gain 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 energy. How nice is that? But she still has her, wildcard tile here, so she can also make a decision. And I think right now let's also try to connect this desert tile down here. So this now counts for this desert, but it also counts for the mountain. So 2 points and 3 points, and 1 point here for the desert region. So overall, definitely not bad. And I think that's already the end of the round. So let's move those clouds back. We will deploy new tiles onto those clouds. So here we have another wild card. Very nice. This is a statue, also giving you some victory points. That's nice. Another wild card. Oh, that's a very tasty cloud. And here to the far right, with the forest, we see yet another meadow. Okay, that's a very nice pick. And of course we have to do the same for the harbor, another desert tile. Next we have to determine who will be the start player, and we do that by checking the tile where the players are on. Right now blue is on a 2, whereas red is on a 1. So blue will go first apparently. So again, red will roll those movement and bonus dice. Okay, that's a nice bonus because it allows you to somewhat redirect, or I think the wind is now changing a little bit, so you can slightly move to the left or to the right of the wind direction. But he needs to check if he wants to move towards southeast actually. So red is out of terrain tiles, as is blue, and moving towards southeast, I don't really know if that's the best that he can do. On the other hand, he doesn't really know what tiles he get. There are still 2 wildcards out there, so overall it could work out. But I think let's roll the movement die here first, and maybe let's see what comes out of this. Again, that's southeast, so he has to stick to that. And now he has to make a choice if he wants to stick to the bonus die. And I think he wants to stick to the bonus die because this one, again, allows you to change the course somewhat. So normally he could only move legally towards the southeast. But with this bonus die here you can see that for yourself. He can basically also move now to the east, or he could move to the southwest. So I think for red this works out to be okay. So he will stick to the bonus die for now, so we don't have to change the compass here. And then blue has to move. In order to make a decision, we have to look at the clouds here. And to be honest, this works out pretty well for the blue player. Yeah, I think he's fine. I think he can move southeast. And because he's on a tile with a wind speed of 2, he can now move 1-2 spaces down here. And in theory, he could now spend additional energy to move further, and I think this is exactly what he wants to do. So he will lose yet 1 more energy. So he's now forfeited his right to build this special building here, but again, he will be able to regain some energy later on without any problems. Now that works pretty well for the blue player. Next, he gets to choose 1 cloud, and apparently we should not forget to move first before we are picking a cloud. So now he's on a space with 1 wind direction. That could impact the starting player for the next round. And then will he choose 1 cloud here? Again, he cannot use one of his special tiles, so he really has to stick to a cloud, but this cloud works perfect for him. So he will totally go for it. I think he will not exchange anything for energy. It's 6, that's really, really tasty, but I think he wants to, yeah, I think he prefers to place those tiles, so grab those. So he will have to park those first, and if those storage units are full, then you can still exchange those. But the thing is, if you're really dodging or removing some of those, you will not get the energy later on. So this is really a decision that's important. But I think, again, for blue, that's, I think, pretty perfect. Next, he's allowed to place tiles, and apparently he will place the desert tile down here. So again, he's starting to make a connection down there. And I think, yeah, again, he will do the same thing. He will place the, yeah, he'll place the wildcard right next to it. So 1 space is missing. One landscape tile is missing here in order to connect the desert here. And then if he later on puts a landscape tile here, for example, this also counts as being connected to this coastal area here. So I think he's really rushing to ending this game, to be honest. But of course, yeah, there's a north side and an eastern side of the map too. But I think overall, this works out pretty well for the blue player. But that's already the end of his turn. And then it's the red player. Again, he also has to move to the southeast. He has 1 speed in theory, but I think 1 speed is all that he needs. But instead of moving southeast, he will use the bonus die to move directly to the east. Keep in mind, that's now allowed. So he will move 1 space to the mountain region here. I think that's also pretty okay for her. And then she wants to grab a cloud. And I believe she will go for this cloud with this statue here. The statues work this way, that the player who has the most statues at the end of the game placed on the island will score 3 points for each statue. The second player with the second statues will get 2 for each statue. So this can really give you a whole lot of victory points. So yeah, let's grab this tile. Let's place it accordingly. Next, she has to place something. You don't have to place something, but I think in this case, again, this works to be pretty okay. And apparently she also wants to cover up this volcano here, so she's not suffering any penalties. And right now, this is 3 points. So in total, right now, she netted 7 victory points out of that. So very, very nice too. Then we can immediately check for the starting player. Red is on 2, blue is on 1. So blue will go first the next round. Let's quickly place those tiles. Those are some hills, some meadow, another forest. So that's a tasty cloud now, though. Now it's good that red goes first. And for the harbor, we have yet another desert tile. Next, blue will have to roll the die or dice. So let's see what he rolls. And oops, so that's northwestern and 1 extra energy. I think he's pretty okay with this, and to be honest, I think he might be also fine with that, actually. I think so, yes. I think he will leave it as it is for now. So both of the players will get 1 energy. So now green, if that would be the end result, she would score 6 points, which is definitely something. But blue has unlocked this building here again. So overall, this could work out to be okay pretty much. Of course, we must not forget to set the compass directly. So that's the northwestern region here. And I think then it's the red player's turn. First of all, she needs to move 2 spaces. Of course, you can also stop. But again, if you're stopping, you have to spend 1 energy for each space that you want to slow down in theory. So I really have to see if she wants to move up here or not. And I think right now it's not the worst thing in the world actually moving in that direction. Yeah, I think so. I think so, that's fine. Yeah, let's move her 1, 2 spaces up here. Next she will need to go for a cloud, and I believe this is too tasty to give up actually. So she will definitely go for the 2 forest tiles here, but maybe she wants to exchange this one here. Yeah, let's do that. So she will basically remove this tile. It goes straight back into the bag, and therefore she gains 1, 2, 3 more energy. So now she has unlocked this special building here, which gives her yet another storage area if she builds it, and it's also worth 4 victory points. So those special buildings also are definitely very, very important. Next she can place a tile, and I think, yeah, maybe she wants to place something here and there actually. I think this could work for the forest region. On the other hand, she also wants to block off those, or wants to hide those. I think, yeah, let's definitely place this forest area here. I think this doesn't hurt at all. And I think for the remaining piece, which she still has, no, she will hold on to that. Maybe she wants to use it later, because again, the idea is really placing it either here or there. Then it's blue, and I think blue is perfectly fine moving 1 space towards the northwestern region. This is now kind of a problem because he ended his turn on a 0, so but red too. So I think we will look into the tiebreaker, but I think in this case the energy will be the tiebreaker. We will look at that in a second. Don't get ahead of ourselves. And now he has to make a choice if he wants to go for a cloud or his special tile up here. And I think right now the cloud works out to be better. Yeah, let's go for it. And I think he will definitely go for this. I don't know, is it hills, wasteland? I don't know what it is. And ooh, the wild card, those are always nice, but it's also 6 energy. No, he will remove it, and therefore he will get oops, he was on 4, so he's moving up to 10 energy in total. Now he has unlocked his harbor. I think this is definitely more important. He can still place a tile, and I think why not? Let's place this hills or whatever it is and place it adjacent here. So if he makes a connection now with the hill symbol here, then also this wildcard also counts for that. So again, those wildcards can be pretty powerful, to be honest. But I think that's again the end of the round. Next we check again the wind speed. Right now they are both on a 0. We check for the next tiebreaker, or for the first tiebreaker, which is energy. And right now blue is on 10, red is on 12, and now the player who has the lower amount of energy will be the starting player. So blue will go first the next round. So let's place new tiles. Oh, that's a city. City will score you points for each adjacent terrains. That's nice. And here, and of course 1 for the harbor. Oh, that's nice. Another statue, which would be, well, it's really important for both of the players, apparently. And next, red has to roll the die again. So let's see how things go. And okay, that's southeast. And this die allows you to also move to the opposite direction if he or she wants that to be this way. And northeast basically, or southeast she could travel. She's really not happy with either of those. I think she will roll this die. For now on she will hold on to this, so let's see what comes out of that. That's the northwestern region, and she could now also move to the southeast. That's also pretty terrible actually. Doesn't really work out for her, to be honest. Does she hold on to this die then? Maybe not. I think then she wants to... Or does she? Does she? No, I think not. Let's roll the bonus die too. Oh, that's a +1, so you now have to move an additional space. So basically the wind speed just increased, which is okay for both because they're right now both on a 0 wind speed terrain. So I think overall this works out to be okay. Again, for blue, it's perfect. I think, yeah, it really is. So he will move 1 space up here because, again, of this +1 wind area. Again, he could break if he wants to stick here, but I think for now that's okay. In theory, he could now spend 1 energy to move 1 space more, but I think not for now. Next, he wants to choose another a cloud, and basically both of those clouds were pretty well for him. Here's a 4, so that's always nice. Having more speed could help you. But here's another wildcard. But again, wildcards only score you 1 point instead of 2. And he already started building the desert line. So I think he will go for this cloud. So he'll grab both of those tiles, and I think he will keep both of those tiles. So let's place those accordingly, and then he can pretty much explore. And I already mentioned it, this works pretty perfectly for him actually, and I think he wants to hold on to this desert tile for later. And this is also something which you have to be careful. Of course, ideally you can place both of those tiles immediately, but sometimes you also want to take some tiles for regions where you're not immediately planning to, because this makes you a little bit more independent how the wind is moving you. So if you later on you move towards the forest region and you still happen to have a forest tile, then it's not in vain, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, I think that's already the end of the turn for the blue player. So let's see, red is basically here, which means he can or she cannot move. Come on. Or, of course, she can spend energy in order to move. But I think right now she feels kind of comfortable. And she might now want to consider either taking this statue up here, which would really make the case. So then I think it's very clear. Or go for one of those special tiles. And that's also worth 4 victory points for her. Ooh, that's tough. And she gains 1 extra storage space, which is always nice. And in order to show you as much as I can, I think I really should go for the harbor instead. So maybe that we can show you, or I can show you how to move off the island actually, which is something that you never do in the core game. That's really part of one of those 2 modules. So yeah, I think instead of taking a cloud, she will now go for this harbor here. Yep. That's nice. I really hope this didn't move it around. I think it was on 14. And now she can place tiles. And I guess she wants to move, I don't know, place only this harbor here for now. I think she will place it like this because she can make connection. She already has made a connection to the mountain region, so she only needs 1 more here for the forest region. So I think placing the harbor here is nice. And yeah, it will score her an immediate 3 points, or at the end of the game apparently. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, let's determine the starting player. Again, they are both on 0. Blue still has less energy. So again, blue will go first. So red will roll the die. But first of all, again, we have to bring out new tiles. Oh, mountain tiles. That's nice. Meadow. Another wild card. Always nice. Statue and a swamp. I think we didn't see any swamps yet. And of course, 1 for the mark. Wow, a statue. Oh, very nice. I think moving towards the harbor here could be really, really vital for the red player actually. Okie dokie, let's roll those dice. And what did we get? Another +1. And the wind direction is toward west. And I think this is exactly where red doesn't want to move to. So she will definitely roll the direct wind direction die again. So let's see. Southwest, that's not really much better actually. So I think she will roll this die 2. Oh, that's 2 energy for everyone. She has to stick to it anyway, but both of the players gets 2 energy, which brings red to 8 victory points. Of course, we have to end the game like this, but it's also very nice for the blue player too, who will start the current round. So let's set the wind direction accordingly. It's southwest, and he's on a 0. Doesn't really work for him either. So in theory, he cannot move at all. But the thing is, does he need to move? And I think he doesn't. I think he will stay where he is. Next he wants to pick a cloud, and I guess he really has to go for this one here. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's perfect. He can make a choice now if he wants to dump one or not, and I think he doesn't. No, he will grab all three, so all of his storage spaces are occupied right now. Next he can place, but again it works perfectly for him, so he will place one tile here. I think he will place one tile there, so that's really, I think that's 9 points already, and he still has this wild card, and I think, yeah, let's totally place it here. So right now he really connected a whole lot of areas already. This is missing, and of course the whole eastern part of the map, but it's still pretty okay for the blue player actually, because this will also score now 4 points for the desert region here, for example. It could help the wasteland hills region here, so definitely very, very nice. Over to red. She doesn't have any speed, but I think she wants to make this connection here. So she will spend 1-2 energy, yeah, in order to move towards the northeastern region. She doesn't have to break first because she's at a 0, so I think that's nice. So she will move 1 space on top of the forest region. Next she can select a cloud, and there is another tasty one, which is this. So she will totally go for the statue. And does she want to hold on to the swamp? Yeah, why not? She can use it later. Then she can place the tiles. And I think, yeah, absolutely. Let's cover up this one here. This immediately gives her 1, 2, 3 energy. Very nice. And she still has the statue here. And to be honest, she could place it here. Yeah, why not? Let's place the statue. It gives her more wind speed. And yeah, that's another 3 victory points if she will end it like this, if she will have the majority of statues on the board. And right now only she has those statues, so I think this works out pretty well for her too. Next we check the starting player. It's clearly the red player who will go first, so blue will roll the die, and of course we have to seed the clouds accordingly. So let's see what we get. Another forest, another wild card, another, oh, that's also very nice tile, another statue, and one for the harbor up there. To be honest, the harbor is something which I found tricky to play. Of course, sometimes you can really move there if the direction allows you, but this is something that happens later on for the game. Of course, you can really get a lot of nice tiles there, or energy, or whatever it is, but I don't know. I'm really not convinced about the harbor. The other third model, that's really nice, placing those additional buildings here. But the harbor, maybe I really have not really strategically understood how to use it well, to be honest. Okay, next would be the blue player, but I think I will end my playthrough for today. I really hope you enjoyed it so far. I definitely want to go for at least a second episode, because there are still some tricky decisions. The game is very, very straightforward and simple, but you really have to make a lot of interesting choices in this game. They're really, really enjoyable, and I really hope you enjoyed it too. And yeah, I hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, and until then, bye bye.